Be absolutely clear about that, John. I'm spending my time on this question of the solution to this. I have not used that word at all. Other journalists have used that word.
Was it inappropriate? Are they barking up the wrong tree?
It's not an inappropriate question, of course not, but it is not what I've been concentrating on.
As far as we can understand it, there's a 99% probability, we are told, of the Prime Minister cancelling the Birmingham to Manchester leg of high-speed rail. And from all that I can see, Andy, you are most unhappy about that possibility. Tell me more.
I will, with pleasure. So the official position from the Prime Minister's spokesman is that no decision has been made. So even if it's at the 11th hour, I am determined to put the case for continuing with HS2. But let's be clear, this project is hugely overspent. We know that, and the Prime Minister is right that he has to get a grip of it. But getting a grip of it does not mean cancelling Birmingham to Manchester or indeed the terminus in Euston, because then we would be left just with a short service from Old Oak Common to Birmingham Curzon Street, not the prospect of a spine all the way from London to Manchester, off which you build the rest of Britain's transport in the future. So we have lost our nerve in terms of delivering on what we said we were going to do.
You'll know very, very clearly, without me telling you, Andy, that you're making very, very big statements in support of your argument for not cancelling Birmingham to Manchester. Look, you have said, among other things, that to do that, to cancel that leg of HS2 would amount to cancelling the future. You said that it would show Britain was not capable of taking tough decisions. Our Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, has presented himself as a Prime Minister now who is taking tough decisions. What you're saying is that he's undermining his entire credibility in setting out his stall.
So let's be clear on the decision I would like him to take and the offer that we have made to him. So I've already said he is right to grip the runaway costs of this. But what we should do is we should complete stage one, which is already well underway, and then we should bring in, and this is the offer, all of those experts from the private sector who've probably contributed to doing this brilliantly in other countries around the world. Global leaders who are saying to the Prime Minister, let us work out how Britain needs to do this, but do it better at a cost that we can afford. Because, you know, lots of companies have invested in Britain on the promise of this coming, either in Birmingham or Crewe or Manchester along the line. And you cannot say to the international business community, the country that is in the G7 can't even make a critical infrastructure investment like this.
You insist that this leg can be salvaged in some form. It can be salvaged, and that cancellation can be avoided. What I want to gauge now with you, Andy, is how strongly you feel about this. Do you feel strongly enough about this that if the Prime Minister decides to scrap this link, you'd be prepared to contemplate resigning as Conservative Mayor? Do you feel that strongly?
That's really not the issue, John. Let's be very clear.
You'll understand a great deal of curiosity about
I understand the question entirely, but let me just tell you, no one was talking about this whole issue even a few days ago. No. So what I have spent my time on is drawing together all those global companies to think about how these models are funded in Japan, in Hong Kong, in France, very differently to how we've gone about this in a statist way. And what we are doing is putting an offer to the team to say you can achieve your original objective at a cost we can afford, and that's what my mind has been focused on over the last few days, not thinking about my personal role or future.
I quite understand. It's not a question of your conceit, your vanity, your position, your political career. But I do hear that you are not ruling out the possibility of resigning. And that is a matter you know better than me, Andy, is of importance to the people, your constituents of the West Midlands.
Of course it is.
And so, as it were, with them in mind, you have not ruled out that possibility.
Let's be absolutely clear about that, John. I'm spending my time on this question of the solution to this. I have not used that word at all. Other journalists have used that word.
Was it inappropriate? Are they barking up the wrong tree?
It's not an inappropriate question, of course not, but it is not what I've been concentrating on. I've been concentrating on finding a solution for the party that I believe in. And today you've heard a brilliant speech from Jeremy Hunt. You've heard about the progress that we're making. And I think critically that this is a huge decision for my party to demonstrate that it continues to be the party that can deliver the promise of levelling up. That's why we're focusing on it.
You're not just the leader of the West Midlands. You are an experienced politician. And you will know that the words you're using now, even the words you're using now, will send chills up the back of those in 10 Downing Street.
I am making an offer with the support of global business leaders, This is a party that knows how to do business with businesses, and the offer there is incredibly reasonable. But this is important, and very occasionally you think there's something that defines defines a decision. And remember, for 12 years, 4 consecutive prime ministers, they've all looked at this. They said we're going ahead. We've had it in all of our inward investment proposals. We've got record inward investment in the West Midlands at the moment. You can't then just turn your back on something that has been a sort of article of faith in those investment decisions.
Well,
that's why it's important.
You say you can't do that, but all the indications are the Prime Minister is contemplating doing exactly that. And you'll quite understand why what I take away from what you've said so far is Andy Street does not rule out resigning.
You can talk about that. I have not used the word anywhere. I am trying to contribute to the future of my party.
Tell me then why, in your judgment, to cancel the Birmingham to Manchester leg of high-speed rail would amount to a dereliction of the duty that the Prime Minister has set out for himself, because that's a strong statement.
I haven't used the word dereliction.
You have not. That's my word. You said it would be a failure to fulfil on that commitment.
So, because this government has said, as the previous government did, that it was going to level up. Huge infrastructure investment in the Midlands in the north is one method of levelling up.
Would this really wreck the idea of levelling up?
It's a blow, not completely. Lots of other good things going on about levelling up, skills, inward investment, they're all parts of that. But the infrastructure investment is a critical plank of levelling up, and we've always, as a party, agreed on that.
But you do believe it would amount to a serious failure of leadership.
It would be a serious blow to that objective, yes.
It would be a serious blow to the objective of leadership. In that sense, undermine the Prime Minister's entire claim to be re-elected.
I said it was a serious blow to the principle of levelling up. You moved to leadership.
But you see why I would draw that conclusion.
Of course I can. But this is why the offer is so important, because there is a bold leadership role in saying, stop the current expenditure. I agree with him over that, but keep the main objective here. Keep business confidence. Think differently about it. That is bold leadership.
Okay. Andy, as ever, you're expressing yourself in a very civilised way, but there's an undercurrent of menace.
I'm always civilised.
If you'll forgive me for that.
I'm always very civilised.
Ben Clapworthy, our transport correspondent, is here too.
Well, a big day for you. Speculation has been mounting over this project for days and days and days. The boss here of the Railway Industry Association, Darren Kaplan, he says now that he thinks it'll be scrapped. He represents 350 rail suppliers. What are you saying to those people to try and get them on board with the idea of let's go away and rethink it together? Presumably, the High Speed Rail Group are meeting in half an hour. They're meeting now, in fact. The idea will be to turn it from a funeral atmosphere into a slightly more optimistic one.
I am saying, and all this work has had to be done very, very recently, literally in the last couple of days, I am saying there is an opportunity for you here as suppliers and contributors, but they will have to think differently. Let's be really clear. The way this has been executed has not been a success, and I'm not here to defend High Speed 2 or indeed the supply chain. I am saying there are global leaders who can change the way we are doing this. And then, of course, there'll be new contracts.
And earlier this afternoon, we were told that the line where all this has come from is that in Rishi's speech that he's going to make in the conference hall on Wednesday was where this would be addressed, where the speculation. Are you hoping now that he's hovering over the backspace key and thinking, you're here, and you say John's making those assumptions on resignation, but you're making a very, very loud noise now on the side of this conference for the project to go ahead.
I am indeed making it an offer for engage with us, work with us, have a win-win. You can grip the costs and still deliver the principle of levelling up and deliver Britain as a place to invest in the future.
And how hopeful are you?
I am always an optimist. I wouldn't be doing this job if I wasn't an optimist. But I genuinely think this is new information. That's perhaps the critical thing. New information, and they should consider it.
All right, Andy Street, we'll see if your optimism delivers the result that you desire. It's a very, very big moment. Andy Street, thank you so much for joining us on the programme.
Thank you.
And Ben,